Most Canadians are using the wrong registered account, and it's costing them thousands of dollars every single year. In 2026, the rules have shifted just enough that the answer to TFSA or RRSP is no longer what most people think. And there's a third account that most people are completely ignoring that might actually be the most powerful of all three. In this video, we're going head-to-head, TFSA versus RRSP versus FHSA, using the actual 2026 numbers from the CRA. We'll cover how each account works, who each one is designed for, what the tax math really looks like in practice, and then we'll build out a stacking strategy so you know exactly how to use all three together. By the end, you'll have a clear, personalized framework for where your next dollar should go. Let's get into it. Let's start with the TFSA, the tax-free savings account, because it's the account that almost every Canadian should be maxing out first, and yet most people are either underusing it or using it completely wrong. Here's where we stand in 2026. The annual TFSA contribution limit is $7,000, same as it's been since 2023. But here's the number that really matters. If you were 18 or older and a Canadian resident in 2009 when the TFSA launched, your total cumulative room is now $102,000. That's over $100,000 you can hold in investments that grow completely tax-free, forever. And I want to stress that word, forever. When you pull money out of a TFSA, you pay zero tax. No tax on dividends, no tax on capital gains, no tax on interest. The CRA gets nothing. That's genuinely extraordinary, and most Canadians still treat this account like a savings account earning 2%. So what should actually go inside a TFSA? High-growth assets. Think Canadian and U.S. equities, ETFs, REITs, anything that's going to compound aggressively over time. The more your investments grow, the more tax you avoid. Putting a GIC earning 4% inside your TFSA while your index funds sit in a taxable account is, frankly, backwards. The one big mistake to avoid in 2026, recontribution errors. If you withdraw $20,000 from your TFSA in March, you don't get that room back until January 1st of the following year. The CRA charges a 1% per month penalty on overcontributions, and they do enforce it. Track your room using CRA My Account. It's updated regularly, and it's the only source of truth. Who wins with a TFSA? Almost everyone, but especially lower and middle-income earners, retirees who don't want withdrawals clawing back OAS, and anyone who expects their income to be higher in retirement than it is today. Now let's talk about the RRSP, the Registered Retirement Savings Plan, which is the account that gets the most attention and, in some cases, the most misplaced loyalty. The RRSP's superpower is the upfront tax deduction. Every dollar you contribute reduces your taxable income for that year. If you're earning $120,000 and you drop $20,000 into your RRSP, you're only taxed on $100,000. At Ontario's marginal rate for that bracket, that's roughly a $9,000 tax refund. That is real, immediate money back in your pocket. For 2026, the RRSP contribution limit is 18% of your previous year's earned income, up to a maximum of $32,490. That's a slight increase from 2025, indexed to inflation. If you have unused contribution room from prior years, and most Canadians do, you can carry it forward indefinitely. But here's the thing people miss about RRSPs. The deduction is only valuable if your tax rate when you contribute is higher than your tax rate when you withdraw. The RRSP is essentially a tax deferral machine. You defer taxes now and pay them later in retirement. If you contribute at 45% marginal rate and withdraw at 22% in retirement, you've won. But if your income in retirement is going to be similar or higher, the math starts to flip. This matters more in 2026 because of how aggressive some Canadian marginal rates have become. In provinces like Ontario and BC, the top federal provincial combined rate is over 53%. High earners are genuinely getting crushed on taxes, and the RRSP is one of the most powerful legal tools available to reduce that burden. One more RRSP feature worth flagging, the Homebuyers Plan, or HBP. First-time home buyers can withdraw up to $60,000 from their RRSP tax-free to use toward a purchase, as long as they repay it over 15 years. That's a meaningful tool, though as we'll see in a minute, the FHSA might actually be better for most first-time buyers. Who wins with an RRSP? High earners, generally anyone in the 40% plus marginal tax bracket. people expecting a significantly lower income in retirement, and anyone who wants to smooth income across their working years. Now here's the account that I genuinely believe is the most underrated registered account the federal government has ever created, and most Canadians either don't know it exists or haven't opened one yet. The FHSA, First Home Savings Account, launched in April 2023, and in 2026 it's fully operational with rules that are almost absurdly generous if you qualify. Here's how it works. You can contribute up to $8,000 per year with a lifetime maximum of $40,000. Your contributions are tax-deductible, just like an RRSP, and your withdrawals, when used to buy a qualifying first home, are completely tax-free, just like a TFSA. It combines the best features of both accounts and stacks on top of both of them. Let's run the numbers. If you're earning $95,000 in Ontario and you contribute $8,000 to your FHSA, you're getting roughly a $3,100 tax refund, depending on your exact provincial rate. The money grows tax-free inside the account, and when you buy your first home, you pull it out completely tax-free. The government has essentially given you a $3,100 bonus just for saving for a house. There are eligibility rules to know. You must be a Canadian resident, at least 18 years old, and a first-time home buyer, meaning you haven't owned a home you lived in at any point during the current calendar year or the preceding 4 years. The account has a maximum lifespan of 15 years. If you haven't bought a home by then, the funds can be transferred to your RRSP without affecting your RRSP contribution room. No penalty, no tax hit. That last point is critical. There is almost no downside to opening an FHSA if you might buy a home in the next 15 years. Even if your plans change, the money rolls into your RRSP. Open the account today, even if you can only contribute $500, because the 15-year clock doesn't start until you make your first contribution, and an unused annual room does carry forward, but only up to $8,000 in accumulated carry forward at any time. Who wins with the FHSA? Any first-time home buyer under 40 who hasn't opened one yet. Full stop. Okay, so now that we understand each account individually, let's talk about how to use all three together, because the real winner in 2026 isn't one account. It's the right sequence. Here's a general priority order that works for most Canadians in 2026. Step 1. If you're a first-time buyer, or even potentially a first-time buyer in the next decade, open an FHSA immediately and contribute the full $8,000. The tax deduction is real, the growth is tax-free, and worst case it becomes RRSP room. There is no logical reason to skip this step. Step 2. If you're in a high tax bracket, roughly $100,000 and above, maximize your RRSP contributions before your TFSA. The value of deferring tax at a 43% or higher marginal rate is significant, and the compound effect of reinvesting your tax refund is enormous. If you get a $12,000 refund and throw it straight back into your RRSP or TFSA, you're accelerating your wealth building significantly. Step 3. Everything else goes into your TFSA. Bonus income, savings beyond your RRSP max, any accounts you might need to access before 65 without tax consequences. The TFSA is your most flexible registered account. No income implications on withdrawal, no impact on benefits, and you get the room back the following year. For someone earning $80,000 with a family, maybe not maxing out any single account, the priority looks a bit different. FHSA first, if applicable, then TFSA before RRSP, because at $80,000 the marginal rate advantage of the RRSP is smaller, and the flexibility of the TFSA is worth more. The key insight here is that these accounts are not competitors. They're layers. And the Canadians who are building serious long-term wealth are using all three in the right sequence for their income level and their goals. Let's bring this together. In 2026, there's no single winner between TFSA, RRSP, and FHSA, but there is a right answer for your situation. The TFSA wins on flexibility and long-term tax-free compounding. $102,000 of room, zero tax on withdrawal, use it for growth assets. The RRSP wins on immediate tax reduction, critical for high earners, powerful when your retirement tax rate will be lower than today. The FHSA wins as the most efficient first home savings vehicle ever created in Canada, tax-deductible contributions, tax-free withdrawals, and zero downside risk if your plans change. Use them in sequence, not in competition. Open all three if you're eligible. Maximize contributions, starting with whichever delivers the highest immediate tax advantage for your bracket. And revisit this every year, because limits change, income changes, and your optimal strategy changes with them. If this breakdown helped you figure out where your money should go in 2026, drop a comment below telling me which account you're prioritizing this year. I read every single one. And if you want a deeper dive into RRSP withdrawal strategies or how to invest inside your TFSA, those videos are coming. Hit subscribe so you don't miss them. Asterisk, this video is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, tax, or investment advice. Registered account rules and contribution limits are subject to change. Please consult a qualified financial advisor or tax professional before making investment decisions. Asterisk.